the last couple of days, there have been a lot of rumors swirling about the future of the Nets, and that starts right now with Kyrie Irving, who has until the 29th of this month to opt into his contract for next season. Now, there are many options. As we've heard and we've seen dozens of examples of this over the years, just because he opts out and does not opt in does not mean he's not a Net. They just they negotiate a new contract potentially for him. But the Nets appear to be standing firm that they don't want to give a guy who has not committed to playing a lot of basketball for them over the last 3 years to a long-term deal, certainly not a max-type deal. Now, over the last hour, Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN has reported that Kyrie Irving has listed several teams that he would be willing to go to in a potential sign and trade if they cannot work out a deal to keep him there. That list would include the Lakers, the Clippers, the Knicks, the Heat, the Mavs, and the 76ers. Now, I want to make this very, very clear.
Like a Christmas wish list.
It does sound like, but there needs to be more context to this. And I think what a lot of the media has not done is given that context to NBA fans. The reason why Kyrie Irving has to go about it this way is because they're outside of the Detroit Pistons, who are not on that wish list. There is not a team right now, especially on that wish list, that can afford Kyrie Irving. So unless Kyrie Irving wants to walk away from about $30 to $35 million a year and play on a $6 million a year contract for the LA Lakers, he needs the Nets' help to get to wherever he wants to go if they cannot work out a deal.
Yeah, in this type of situation, what Kyrie Irving and his camp are trying to do is they're trying to create leverage where there isn't any.
Correct.
They're trying to say, oh, send me here, send me there. And the Nets are just sitting there like, we don't really have to send you anywhere. And if you really want to leave, you can, but you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. Obviously, Kyrie's not going to want to do that. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. If I was advising Kyrie, I would tell him opt in. If you don't like the contract that the Nets are giving you, opt in, play well, help Brooklyn possibly win a championship next year. And then once you've rehabilitated your image, raised your stock, you get to go into the free agent market next year. Well, there will be some more teams with that type of money. But the biggest thing right now is Kyrie's going to have to rehabilitate his image, because right now a lot of those winning teams are going to be scared to touch him because of some of the rumors that have been leaked out about what was actually going on behind the scenes the last couple of seasons.
The Nets in 3 years with Kyrie and KD, granted KD missed a year because he's recovering from an Achilles tear. They've won one playoff series in those 3 years. But now, how does this affect KD? KD's already opted. He's already renegotiated a long-term deal that's got him there for the next several years. But as we've seen, player empowerment these days, the Nets are deathly afraid of something going sour with Kyrie and then KD walking into Joseph Tsai or Sean Marks' office and saying, I no longer want to play for you. So how do you think KD is looking at this?
Well, KD has to be looking at his future and the future of Kyrie Irving. And listen, if Kyrie doesn't sign or whatever happens, there has to be a plan in place where Nets management can walk to KD and say, okay, Kyrie might not be here, but this is how we're going to win. We're going to get this player, or we're going to trade him for this player or a draft pick or whatever it is. There has to be a plan in place, because KD's not going to watch Kyrie walk out the door and then with the uncertainty around Ben Simmons just go into next year and think, oh, ho-hum, we have a chance to win a championship. And then you have to look, KD's in phenomenal shape, but we have to understand he's getting up there in age. I think he's around 34 years old now. These are years where it really matters to him about his legacy and winning championships. How does he move forward? And I think that he's going to have to look at this situation very carefully. And the Nets, whether they keep Kyrie or they don't, they have to have a plan in place that's going to be attractive to Kevin Durant.
Right. And if they do decide to deal Kyrie, whether it's to one of those teams or not, they need to bring back a package that keeps the Nets not competitive, but in the championship conversation for next season, because that's what KD came to Brooklyn to do. The fear is that Kyrie walks for nothing. But again, if Kyrie walks for nothing,
Kyrie can count.
He can count. But again, this is a guy who gave up $17 million last year because he didn't want to get vaccinated. So maybe money to this guy.
If you give up 17 one year, you don't want to turn around and give up 30 the next. I'm just saying.